Welcome back, board members, people. Okay, so I took a little break, but now I'm back and I'm super excited. Today, our guest is Robyn. She is First Nations OG Cree woman. She's powerful force for change. She's community building. She's a holistic entrepreneur, and she is an amazing business strategist. She's the founder of Eagle Medicine Coaching and Consulting. Robyn walks beside Indigenous entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers to help them move past limiting beliefs and step into their power. And I'm so excited to have you here, Robyn. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to be here, Tiffany. I love your energy.
Thank you. Okay, so tell us more about yourself, where you're from.
Definitely. So Tanse Bazu Anin. In creator's name, my name is Gasoki Pata Miss Tahai Esqueo Charging Grizzly Bear Woman. And my English name, my GST name is Robyn Soulier-Ritchot. And so I'm originally from Nisichawayasihk Cree Nation, Opipinapuan Cree Nation. It means those who move down south for the winter. And so I come from a long lineage of trappers, hunters, storytellers, matriarchs, and healers. But my story didn't start there. I also lived in Winnipeg, Manitoba, majority of my life in the city, West Central of Ellis, where it all started.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And so I now reside on Treaty 7, Mohkinstsis, Calgary, Alberta. And so I'm a guest on these treaties, and I'm so grateful to live by the mountains.
Ooh, I've seen the
Yeah.
pictures. How beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No, absolutely stunning. And so I have two sons as well. I have two young boys, and I'm also a business owner, founder of Eagle Medicine Coaching Consulting. I've been doing this work for the past 3 years. I love what I do. I love who I get to work with. Being able to be the proud owner of Eagle Medicine has taken me into places and spaces I've only dreamed of.
Ooh, I love
And
that.
yeah, the life I'm living now is something I used to really pray for.
Uh-huh. I love that too. Yes.
Yeah, it started in a basement suite, like it really did. It started from the ground up, literally. And well, we're out of the basement now, and I'm fully in 100%. Yeah, relying on the livelihood of this business, and it feels really good. It feels really good. And so we'll probably get more into that, but I'll just end there. I'll start that in a way of introducing myself, and here I am.
I love that. I love your intro. It's so beautiful to hear you say your place names and where you're from and your language. It's just like music to my ears because a lot of us are denied that, through colonization. But when you have that, it feels good, It's like the land and the connection. And that's something that no matter what we go through, that people can't take away, And I just love that. So, okay, how did you get into coaching?
Okay. So right from the beginning, um, probably 10 years ago, I was signing up for university, and I just enrolled at that time, and I was like, is this something that I really want to do? Is this part of my path? Like right away when I enrolled, I just started questioning it.
Okay.
And so it was for Indigenous counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back home and I jumped on my laptop and I started like doing tests and like, what am I good at? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is
Oh,
my
yes.
purpose?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you know which ones I'm
Yeah,
talking
the
about? Yeah.
aptitude tests or something like
Yes.
that. Yeah, yeah.
And then I started looking around, like, really helping people overcome challenges because that is my life story, always overcoming challenges. And then I saw something about like life coaching. And I said, this is interesting. So I emailed the woman who was offering the certification, and she did respond. And of course, I questioned it and I was like, no, 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 that's not my path. And so years passed, and I ended up dropping out of my second year of Indigenous counseling. And I said, this ain't for me either. And so I went back to Winnipeg, Manitoba. Time passed. I went back to school for Indigenous social entrepreneurship, so business for social good from an Indigenous perspective, focusing on Indigenous issues. And then I went to health and human services management because I wanted to understand organizational theory as well as leadership theory. And as time passed, I ended up in entrepreneurship. But it was actually Kendall Netmaker that re-sparked, um, yeah, that interest again. And he's a coach, he's Indigenous. And
Oh,
for the
okay.
first time, I saw myself as a coach because he was still talking about who he was and where he came from, and him from Sweetgrass, Saskatchewan, pretty sure, and him being a Cree man and still bringing in those values and his culture front and center in his work.
Wow.
And I was so like, wow, like
Yeah.
I can be a coach, like, you know, as a First Nations woman and still have my values and who I am at the core. And I
Hmm.
was like, this is what I'm going to pursue. And so after that program, he asked each and every participant in that cohort, what are you guys going to do? And I was like, I'm going to be a coach, Kendall.
I love
And
that.
yeah, and I was pregnant at that time with my second son. And so, you know, as time passed, I was with their father, and I think I was 7 months pregnant, and I made a very, very hard decision, but to leave that relationship. And it's just, you know, some people just grow apart and, you know, values are no longer aligned, and what you want for your future is opposite of that individual.
Mm.
And so I left with a 3-year-old and 7 months pregnant.
Oh my gosh, that must have been so tough.
It was tough. It was like my
Uh-huh.
whole world is shattered,
Hmm.
but this coaching idea still remained.
Hmm.
And I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm not only a single parent now, but I'm the protector, I'm the provider, and I gotta make sure my kids get fed.
Hmm.
And so when I moved into my new place, which is the basement suite, I really just put all my time and energy into that, as well as being on maternity and raising my babies. And so when they napped, I was on my laptop. When they went to bed at night, I was on my laptop. I was building out a website. I was building out programs. I was just really trying to figure it out. And the first year, I made a total of $500 and it went straight back into the business. And then my second year, there was momentum and there was opportunities that were coming to me gradually. And I was like, wow, like I'm figuring it out. I got this. And that same year, I moved out of the basement suite and I really started thriving in my business. And now we're in the third year.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, like there's so much clarity, you know, there's just so much things that are aligned with who I am as an individual and my gifts and how I help and serve. And, you know, that was always part of it. I was like, this is part of my purpose. This is part of how I'm going to help. Hmm.
Yeah, I love that. I love that through line. It looks like your trajectory was like this, but I'm pretty sure it was like this, you
Yeah.
know, like you're like, I see replicated what I want to do, so I know it's possible. And then you
Mhm.
march toward that light. And I feel like in a lot of healing, which I'm seeing now, is that when you start changing, some things fall away because they don't align anymore, you know, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate and it can be heartbreaking, you know, but then it's like, do we go back into just that shell that we were holding on, or do we go towards the healing and the growth and our dreams, you know, and the fact
Yeah.
that you took that big step is amazing, you know, like, and you're because of that, now you're changing so many lives. I think that's so
No.
beautiful. Hmm.
Yeah. No, and that's like kind of the whole reason, right? Because during one of the most like transitional, unknown, scary, very painful parts of my life, I was like,
Mm.
yeah. Then a part of me is like, this is going to be a really cool story when I get through this. And I'm going to help other women that I identify myself with through their own journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, really looking at that pain to purpose narrative.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So did you
Yeah.
like use affirmations or what was your like, because when you were going through it, I'm sure there were times where you were like, well, maybe I should just not, but then you had that like that fortitude to continue on. But what was your like, how did you hold on to your idea and keep going?
Yeah, definitely. So, Eagle Medicine actually started off as a program for Indigenous youth to reconnect with their gifts and medicines.
Okay.
And during that time, I was given a dream and vision of Eagle Medicine. That's where the name came from. And so it all started with that intention and that dream. And so that's what always helped me fall back on, is this going to work out? Like, should I continue to pursue this? And I'm just like, heck yeah. Like, I really have no choice. This is part of my responsibility. And so what helped me during the time of like that, can I do this? Or second guessing myself, and being absolutely terrified to put myself out there and be visible. Because as you know, like we experience a lot of judgment and
Mhm.
lateral violence as a strong Indigenous woman using her voice and like, how dare you? Just kidding.
No, for
Um,
real. I was doing
yeah,
TikToks and people were like, oh, one person commented, you talk gibberish. And I was like, oh my God. And then the other person who was a friend was like, why are you always on there? Why are you always making these TikToks? So it's just like,
yeah,
yeah, you go through it. So I
100%.
so I really
Yeah.
did cut back on what I was doing. And lately I've been really thinking about it, like I did let those voices get to me because I know them, and I'm like, well, if
Yeah.
I know them, then maybe they're seeing something I'm not. But I really think it was just, like you said, people voicing their opinion.
Yes, and it interferes with our path. When
Mhm.
we start internalizing and personalizing other people's opinions of us, it honestly just throws us off our path. And what helped me was, you know, what am I good at? And focusing on my gifts and nurturing them. I journaled a lot. I did a lot of self-reflection and introspection. And I really questioned the things that prevented me from being seen. And so obviously everything relates back to that root cause, which is from your childhood. And so I really sat with that and I just completely just gave myself to the unknown and prayer and ceremony.
Oh, I love that.
And and that's where I really was able to help sit with those things, see them for what they were, but teachers and clear space. And that's a big part of how I help people. I had to go through the ringer in order to really understand how I'm going to get through this. And with that became my practice for coaching. And so when I meet new people, I'm like, you know what? I understand to a certain extent what you're going through because I have personally went through something similar. We're all different and unique, and so the story is not the same. And how we, try to navigate life is going to be different, right? And
Uh-huh.
so when I do speak to people, I do connect with them, they're like, yeah, that's really helpful. Like, thank you. And so, hearing that validation and feedback, I'm like, oh, I do know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You know? And you are going to experience people who want to judge and criticize, but it's because of the fact that what people don't understand is what they will criticize.
Mm.
And you just have to, move past that judgment and just like, well, that speaks more to who they are than myself. Because why is it so hard to believe in a friend? It's not.
Yeah. Right?
It's absolutely not.
Exactly. That's where I
Yeah.
think it's just that growth pattern of where like I'm trying to do something, you don't understand it, and now you want to criticize me, you know? And
Yeah.
so yeah, so
Yeah.
that's exactly.
We all start somewhere. Like we all start somewhere. I in the beginning, like you, I just let's just talk. Let's just get through this and let's get good at it. I had friends and family who unfollowed me,
Uh-huh.
and I had complete strangers rooting for me.
Yes.
And then I noticed like once I started, getting clear with my business and I was getting momentum and attraction, those family and friends started refollowing me. They didn't want to support me till they saw others supporting me, and
Yeah.
that's how it goes. And you know what? People are gonna say you're cringe and like, how could you do that? But it's because of the fact that they're still stuck with those judgments of themselves. And sometimes they're still battling with their own insecurities. And so, of course, they're going to be like, how could you? Because they could never see themselves doing that. And
Uh,
so that's why I always say, like, it says more about them than it does you.
uh-huh.
Have the audacity, have the confidence and belief in yourself. We
Yeah.
only have one life. And so,
Hmm.
what if I'm cringe for the first couple years?
I feel like that's what you have to do is like the first year you're like just kind of shouting into the void like
Yeah.
with your business, and then it starts catching on because I feel like you keep getting to that point where you hit a wall, but then you just have to push through and keep going. And I think it's so much easier just to give up, of course, just to be like, because sometimes I was like, "Ugh, maybe I'll just get a job again." But then I'm like, no, I don't want
Mm.
to work for somebody, like I
Yeah.
believe in my vision. I believe with what I'm trying to do. And then right when I'm about to give up, I get the little confirmations from people like, oh, I
Yeah.
really like this, or you're doing such a good job with that. And it's just like, okay,
Aw.
a little bit of validation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And nothing's wrong with that. We're human, right? And we're just experiencing life, what we feel that's comfortable in our body, what feels safe in our body. And so sometimes the judgment and like the criticism, it feels like, I don't know, it's almost like it could sit in your chest, it could sit in the pit of your belly, or it could weigh on your shoulders. But like what I share with people is like get curious with that. Like, like sometimes what you feel is not all yours.
Yes.
Sometimes it's theirs, sometimes it's collective.
Uh-huh.
As Indigenous people, like we have experienced a lot of similar things in regards to colonialism and the repercussions of residential school legacy, etc. We know those stories, we lived them.
Yes.
And this generation is really clearing space and healing that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of firsts. First to not go to residential school, first to pursue their post-secondary,
Yeah.
first to start a business in Western society, right? Like, so we have to give ourselves grace. We're up against colonialism of
Mm-hmm.
the mind. And so, when we see it for what it is, it's just like, oh yeah, like that's unfortunate that person still struggles with that. But I have a choice not to.
Yes, that's so beautiful. I feel like those are just like little affirmation clips people could start like, those are just
Yeah.
such beautiful words. Hi, everybody. Are you enjoying this interview as much as I am? If you are, please hit the like button. And even better, share it with a friend. If you really love it, don't forget to subscribe. That would mean the world to me. So thanks again. I hope you're enjoying this interview on Warm Embers. Okay,
Aw.
one thing you touched on is decolonization. So I feel like people are still kind of confused on what that looks like because I still see because I'll read posts and stuff and people will be like, oh, well, why don't you go back to your teepees and give back the TV and this and that? And I'm like, no, no, no,
Oh my
it's not
God.
that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are some of the topics that you touch on when it comes to decolonization?
Yeah, so, it's about remembering. It's about remembering who we are and where we come from. My father was Anishinaabe Métis, and my mother was a full-blood Rocky Cree woman.
Ooh, okay.
And my mother was also fluent in Cree, and
Ooh,
so were my aunties and my granny.
uh-huh.
But what they taught us was, to learn English and, focus on school and, kind of just like assimilate
Mm-hmm.
because of what they were taught, right?
Yeah.
From residential school and day home. And it was kind of like they wanted to protect us and shield us to, not be able to be enriched in our culture and language because of those reasons. But my dad, the Métis man, the one that liked to live off the land and hunt and fish, and he told me to always be proud of who I am and where I come from. And I didn't understand at that time when I was young because he told me that when I was probably like 11.
Uh-huh.
I'd be proud. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, what does that even mean? But those words were always instilled in me.
Oh, I love
And
that.
so for those reasons, I carried myself in a way that, like I was confident and I did use my voice and and some people thought I was like a little menace or like who the hell is this kid, right?
Yeah, here she comes again.
Yeah. Um, but then there's also this shy part of me too, right? And this very reserved and like cautious. And it was all because of my parents and what they shared energetically and through their words, and through the protection. And so as I got older, I finally realized what my dad was talking about, and then I was just like, I am proud, after carrying shame and guilt for so many years, because like those comments that you see on your TikTok and, on social media, right? Like some people haven't built that security of self and reconnecting to their identity. And so some of those words are so harsh that they almost believe them because that's the narrative society has painted on us. But those are untrue. Those are only based on stereotypes and biases. And so, as I got older, I started really identifying, okay, well, I have a lot to be proud of. I have so much to be proud of. Like I come from a strong bloodline.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so I really started sitting with that and embodying that. And, my dad carried himself so confidently and, people just gravitated towards him because he was so funny, loud, and big.
Oh.
And when I think about times where I felt small, I would be like, what would my dad say? What would my dad do? And
Uh-huh.
so, yeah, I started carrying myself in that way. And, for people who still struggle with that, like, well, this is what I was told. And, that inner critic of like other people's harshness and those negative words and thoughts and feelings. It's just like focus on what makes you proud of yourself. What do you like about yourself? Whether that's something physical, whether that's your mentality, whether that's something internal. I like that I'm kind to people. I like that, animals and babies love me. I like that I have a good singing voice. Start there and start listing off the things that, what makes you different, what makes you unique, because that's who you are.
I love that.
Mhm.
Yes. And do you recommend like people writing that down and then kind of sitting with it? Or,
Yeah, for sure.
uh,
Yeah, like as I was telling you, like in the beginning of starting this business, I did a lot of introspection and reflection and a lot of pen to paper. And I tell my clients the most powerful thing that you can ever do for yourself is learning who you are and most importantly, putting pen to paper.
okay.
Think about all the things that you want for yourself, all the things that you want to grow and prosper, and write them down. I am, like you're already living in them, like they already exist. You know,
Yes.
I was talking to a woman from Saskatchewan that she was part of the Warrior Woman Circle, and she came out to the mountains. That's something that she wanted to do in the
Uh-huh.
last in the last cohort. And I was just like, well, I know you're going to do it. I hope that you get it done, right?
Uh-huh.
And so she ended up coming out here and she's just like, yeah, I got my dream job. Everything's working out for me, and we got to do this trip and, just so many things. And she wants to create programs, right, for her community.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just like, and it was because of the fact that she wrote it in her journal. And she's just
Wow.
like, yeah, and she calls me her coach, and she's just like, yeah, coach, you're right. Pen to paper, it's powerful stuff. And so, I share that with you and I share that with others because that's the truth.
I
Yeah.
believe it. I believe it. Every day I sit down and I have so many journals. I have like, and then
Wow.
I'll go back and like look and be like, I did that. I did that, you know? So I think I just need to dream
Yeah,
bigger and write bigger things down because I'm still kind of like,
100%.
like I'm still like working through that. But the fact that your participant in your program went back and lived a dream life, I'm like, oh, I need to start asking more, bigger things, you know?
Yeah. And she did that all in a course of 5 months.
Oh my God, I love that. So tell us about
Yeah.
your cohorts, your Warrior Women
Yeah.
program.
Okay, yeah. So the Warrior Woman Circle is specifically for Indigenous women entrepreneurs
Mhm.
who are in the early stages or have established and who plan to create programs,
Okay.
who want to start speaking, who want to start facilitating. Because what we learn in there is about like, okay, well, what's preventing you from showing up and getting visible in front of your business?
Ooh,
Or what's stopping you from using your voice?
uh-huh,
And so there's a lot of personal development just as much as professional development. That's my jam. That's my work, right? It's
uh-huh.
always finding balance with self and then also what you want to pursue. And then they get to connect with other Indigenous women from all over Canada. I've worked with people all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast, and I'm here in the middle in Calgary, Alberta. And we just get to, yeah, connect with each other and really talk about those things that scare us and terrify us, but most importantly, how we're going to step in to that new beginning. And
Oh,
so they, yeah, and so they also get 6 sessions within the program and then one free coaching session with me. And although I say you have to wait till you get to the middle of the program because there's a lot you're going to be going through
uh-huh.
before, save your questions, save your questions. Because some of them are like, okay, I want to book right away. It's just like,
You're like, no, no,
but
wait, wait.
no, 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 wait, 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 because there's a lot of stuff that's going to come up for you. And sometimes there's going to be like, yeah, like triggers or breakthroughs or like aha moments. So just wait till we get to the middle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and some women will wait till the end because there's this like it all marries, right? It all marries, it all blends and one session after the other, just it makes sense.
That's
And
beautiful.
yeah, I learned I learned so much too, right? As someone who's facilitating and someone who has developed the program
Uh-huh.
because it helps me become stronger as a professional, as a speaker, and most importantly as that coach.
Mm-hmm.
Because as much as it is easy to speak, it's so important to listen.
Yeah.
Listen, deep listening. It's a skill that I'm constantly sharpening and it gives me the opportunity to listen more. Because
I
it's a
love,
sharing circle too, right? The Warrior Woman
yeah.
Circle. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
like we go through the material, but then okay, there's questions and there's, interactions. And so they get to share their parts. They
Yeah.
create the program too.
That's so cool. I was part of a cohort called Dreamcatcher, and that was in May, and
Oh,
it was Native women from Arizona, and it was just so
wow.
beautiful. It was so powerful, and just sitting in there with other women who are entrepreneurs and connecting. We still have our little group chat, and it was so beautiful because you get
Mm,
to step kind of outside your everyday routine and then get into community with people who are also building something, you know?
yeah.
But I like how you because we learned about running businesses, but and we connected with each other. But I love how you like when you're done with this, how are you going to integrate it within? So it's like you're not just taking what you learned here and then going back into life with it's kind of like two different things. You're like, how do you merge that when you go back into regular life? What changes will you make or what are you gonna do? So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, like the biggest thing too, and you touched on it a little bit right when we started. Um, Entrepreneurship bears a lot of the things that, trigger you or that prevent you from showing up. And it's not the business. Sometimes it's things that, again, we've inherited or we were conditioned or it was just part of our survival. And so obviously we want to protect ourselves. We don't want to be hurt or harmed, and we don't want to be spoken to unkindly.
Yeah.
But in order for us to move forward and to be visible in front of our businesses, we're just going to have to sit with that uncomfortable stuff sometimes, right? Getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. But it's so important that we focus on that personal development and those things that, again, kind of like, should I do this? Oh, I'm kind of experiencing a little bit of imposter syndrome, or like, what's preventing me from, why am I stuck right now?
Hmm.
Um, Instead of just pushing through it, because it'll come up in other ways, in other scenarios. And whether that's physical, mental, or emotional, or even spiritual, it's always important to move through it than just move it out of the way. And so, yeah, like I like to call entrepreneurship personal development on steroids because
Yes.
it is the truth. It is the absolute truth. Like, I'm a recovering people pleaser and I don't like controversy and I don't like the fact when, like, people are upset with me.
Yeah.
But then I was like, if I'm going to speak my truth, people are not going to resonate with the majority of what I say and they're going to, yeah, push back. And so, what am I going to do when that happens?
Hmm.
And so I was like, I got to get solid. I got to get grounded. I got to know who I am.
Yes. I
Yes.
am working on people pleasing too. So have you seen there's these different clips where it'll be like Nicki Minaj or Beyonce, like they take on different personalities to become like it's almost kind of like a crutch, I guess, to like a shortcut where you're not yourself, so you're able to do all of these things in public um through this persona, but then you go back to being just your regular self, I guess. I don't know. I think it's really
Oh,
interesting. So with people pleasing, because I didn't realize my whole life that all of the ways I've been just totally not showing up for myself. Just like
mm,
whatever, like I'm just like going along, and then all of a sudden if somebody shows up, all of a sudden it's about them. What do they want to do? How do I make them happy? What can I say to make them like me, or I don't really like what they said, but I'm not going to say anything because I need them to like me, which was instilled from childhood because I needed to be that way to survive.
yeah.
But now
Yeah.
it's like, no, I don't need to do that. What do I like? So right now I'm on the journey of what do I like, and really kind of showing up. So my
Oh,
persona thing is like, what would Mariah Carey do? Which is, she is a bit extreme, but I feel like I need that to sway like how bad I was as a people pleaser to no, she wouldn't people please for anybody. So it's like, okay, now what? So for me, I've never seen it like I don't have like a mentor or somebody to kind of like see how they operate. So to me, I'm
mhm.
like, okay, well, what would Mariah Carey do? Like would she stand for somebody telling her, well, I don't like your TikToks, you should stop making them? Like, no, she wouldn't. So it's like, well, what am
Yeah.
I doing?
No, exactly. And that's just the thing. Like the biggest part of me starting was people are going to judge me.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to judge me. And mind you, like I have a background just like anyone else. I lived a crazy life and I wasn't always this version of me.
Uh-huh.
Um, I was also really dysfunctional and I struggled with addiction and all the other things that come with that and those environments. And so that big part of this, like, someone's gonna recognize me and they're gonna be like, what the heck? I know that girl, da 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 da, right? And that was like a big part of like, I can't be seen. I have to be like small. I should be
Oh,
ashamed, etc.
uh-huh.
But then there was this like, no, this work is bigger than me. This work is
Uh-huh.
part of my purpose. Again, going back to the dream, the vision. I was just like, I can't hold on to that or I'll never get where I want to be. And so when I did start showing up, I'm just like, we can't always please everyone.
Mhm.
There's just no freaking way. You
Yeah.
know, and people are going through their own experiences within life and their own challenges, and sometimes it's going to show up as projection,
Mhm.
and you just so happen to be the target.
Yeah.
um and oh, believe me, I've experienced some crazy stuff and behavior and lateral violence and hate and all
Uh-huh.
the other weird behavior that comes with it. But I just realized that because of the amount of work I've invested in myself and sat with myself, and I know who I am. I'll keep saying that. I know who I am. I know what I want. I know what I stand for. I just see that person and I pray for them. You
Yeah.
know, it doesn't mean that that doesn't hurt.
Uh-huh.
I'm still human. I still have feelings.
Yeah.
So when like I get a random guy on one of my posts, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, and
Uh-huh.
there's something that's like so left and like it's just it stings. I'm
Uh-huh.
just like I'm like, wow, that person needs therapy.
Yeah.
I'll pray for you.
Yes.
But that's the truth, right? Because like again, like they're going through stuff, and how easy is it to jump online and try to channel your anger or your frustration onto something and just like, well, I feel better about that, but at the end of the day they still have to go home and sleep with themselves. You
Yeah.
know, that doesn't change for them until you sit with what is bothering you. Then everyone else will be a problem in your life.
Yeah, that's true. And
Mhm.
also, I love how you said, um, if something is popping up for you, instead of deflecting or trying to soothe it, sit with it and like, why is it bothering you? You know, I
Yeah.
think that is big work right there. Because a lot of times it's easy to just be something like something happened and this bothered me, but I'm just like you said, gonna get on social media and vent it out there instead of sitting with it and being like, hey. So would you
Yeah.
like journal on that or
I would process it. I
uh
would process it. I would, because my work is really a lot about body-centered approach. And
okay.
so how is that showing up in my body?
Yeah.
Because there's this beautiful story um, that our body carries,
Mhm.
and it keeps the toll. Everything, absolutely everything we've ever experienced in our lives since we were babies. And sometimes we completely block those things out, and they show up in other things, whether that's in relationships, friendships, work, etc. But it's going to come forward. And sometimes it comes through a reactive state, through our minds, or a physical state, which is like burnout, illness, or pain. But that's why it's so important to be like, well, how is that showing up in my body? So, for example, I had a difficult conversation last week with someone, and instead of just like, blaming them, I just sat with myself, and it came up in my chest and it came up in my belly. And I'm like, when was this a familiar time this came forward? And obviously it came back when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
And it was about, just having to be silent to keep the peace. And
Mhm.
it didn't feel good because of the fact that, yeah, it was just an older time that was coming forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened? I went back to that conversation and I shared a part of what I needed to say in a constructive, professional way, where I wasn't abandoning myself, I was honoring my voice, and I wasn't sitting with a resentful feeling of like, I should have said this or I should have done that,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And so I got to do the work, process it, and show up for myself as my adult self, not the little girl self who had to be silent and still to survive. And so that's the work. That's the work that I do, and that's the work that I share.
I
So the
love
next time something
that.
comes up, ask yourself, where is that showing up in my body? And when was this a familiar time that this happened?
That is
Healing in real
powerful.
time.
Yeah, that's powerful though. Like to give yourself the grace to take the time to recognize it, to sit with the memories,
Mhm.
and then having to process it. One thing that I do is like breath work. Do you do that too? Like
Ooh,
if you're doing
yeah.
processing like something uh in every work situation, I always had like an enemy person. It's weird. And I think they just showed up to show me to validate maybe the stories that I told myself, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
one was a woman that she would just do everything she could to like undermine my work. And then the next one was a man who would do the same thing. And I
Mhm.
think that maybe I was um using that to validate my self worth. Like I didn't really see myself as worthy of doing. I did a great job, but I couldn't take the compliments. So
Yeah.
when the person would be so intimidated by the great work I was doing, they would sabotage me. And then I'd be like, see, they're being hateful to me. And that just shows me that my work isn't good or something. But
Yeah.
really, that's just like I didn't have the tools to work through, like you said, to sit with it and like, why do I feel that way? Is that true? And
Mm.
I think that's the thing too, to take the moment, right? To say, is
Yeah.
that true? Like, because sometimes I will read an email, not now, but I used to read an email, and then the critical part of me would like just pull out like this weird story. And then I would go back maybe a couple of days later, read it, and be like, oh, that's not what they said at all. you know?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think, that trauma just kind of, or the stories continuing to shape
Try
how
to
I see.
validate.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
exactly.
that old story is trying to validate itself, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's also like trying to feed that same narrative. Like you, like I'm like they're mad at me. Like they like how do I fix this? And like every part of my body was just like zing.
Uh-huh.
Um, but also it's just like it's also a place of survival too. It's just like, well, if I could foresee what's going to happen, and if an argument or like confrontation is going to arise, then I'll know how to, manage it, and I'll know how to act. You know
Uh-huh.
what I mean? Or not react in a way where like I won't get hurt. And so, yeah, like it's just again, it's just your way of trying to survive something that this thing that's happening is it's still connected to something old, right? And
Yes.
so that old thing needs to come forward, and we need to sit with that, and we need to really mitigate it and try to understand it. Can't just push through it, it's like, hey, I'm here and I need to be seen. So let's identify what this doubt, fear, anxiety stuff is,
Mhm.
and so we can continue to move forward and live and thrive. Um,
Yes. I love
yeah.
that. See, that's the powerful work you're doing. I think that's so amazing.
Yeah, and what I love the most about too this work is like I'm always learning too, and I'm always learning to be better. Like I'm always striving for that. But I also love that my clients, when they're done working with me, they they don't have to come back to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Huh?
yeah, a lot of business owners are like, no, you want a returning client and da 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 da. And I'm like, I don't want a client that relies on me. I want a client that trusts themselves, you
Yeah.
know, and I want someone to be able to walk away from whatever experience they had with me in regards to working with me, and they feel like 100% they got this because they do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so here's all the tools and here's everything that we've worked through. This is all yours. You know, you just gave me the privilege to sit with you. This is all you at the end of the day. And
Oh.
so, you know, and no one has like, I need you. It's like, no, you don't.
That's too funny. You're like, oh, I'm so good. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Good job, Robin. Good job.
Yeah.
Now go do more of that. The work is never
Oh,
done.
the work is, yeah, that's, yes, because there's so much healing to be done in our community. And I think that that's what I found so amazing about you is that you come out and you say, I am a coach, you know? So I think that is so good. Like, um, you probably are going to have unlimited clients because there's so much healing that needs to be done that is from like the residential school, you know, from I was talking with my son and I was like
Mhm.
probably like the fourth or fifth generation living in post colonization. So like
Mhm.
my four grandmothers back, four or five.
Yeah.
She was
Wow.
living um like traditional, like they were living traditional life, got impacted. So, like you think about all of those genetically, like the memory, blood memory, and that we're processing that. So, like you said, a lot of healing is being done now. So then that
Mhm.
means like we're breaking that cycle, which also brings out some stuff, but so that the next 2 to 3 generations, hopefully they won't have that stigma because I was reading this article and it was like trauma or pain could last 4 generations, you know? So unless, you know, there's actual active work done to break it. So I
Mhm.
think that the work you're doing is part of that, you know? It is rewiring our genetics, rewiring our memories, you know, so that when we go forward as Native people, Indigenous people, we're able to have like a right out of the gate, you have a better, like, we don't have to say, should I go to college or not? Or should I take this? Because I did that too. I kept
Yeah.
switching majors and then I just gave up, you know? I was just like, I don't know, you know? So that, you know, our children, grandchildren would be able to just like, no, this is what I'm going to do. This is how it's going to go, you know? Not that like
Yeah.
ambivalence of like, well, I don't, you know? So I think the
Yeah.
work is so important.
Thank you. I love that. You said something there about rewiring.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I always think back of how it's remembering, you know, because our blood memory is so strong. Like in Anishinaabe, we think about 7 generations forward and 7 generations ahead. Well, including you, that's 15 generations right there. So we carry a lot,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
and before colonization, we were very we just knew how to take care of ourselves. What was healing? There was no word for it. It was just being. It was
Yes.
just living, right? And we have to keep in mind, well, what were our environments at the time? Well, it was on the land. And we were working and we were moving and we were always constantly thinking about, you know, present moment, not the past, not the future, but present moment and preparing for tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
And that was a way of being. And so it's just remembering, well, that's in my blood. I know how to live, you
Uh-huh.
know, and I really love that. I think it's Greek mythology or it's different. It's not indigenous, but they think that the pineal gland carries 18 generations
Oh,
of
wow.
consciousness.
Uh-huh.
And so you as a person living here presently, well, you can tap into that at any point in time. It's a matter of just sitting, right?
Uh-huh.
Sitting and remembering.
Mm-hmm. I
And
love that.
sometimes, yeah, we just need help and we just need tools and we just need someone to tell us that.
Yeah.
So we can start with that journey.
Yes. So sitting there quietly, kind of like meditation, but kind of just sitting with yourself. I think that is not really something that's pushed in Western culture, right? Because it's always like on your phone or watching TV or talking with someone or it's quiet. I need to fill the space. But
Yeah.
we really should take time and sit with ourselves, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like unplug, like I'll do it in different parts of my day and it's going to be different for other people. But, I try to wake up before my children and
Okay.
I try to start my day with gratitude. And so that kind of sets the tone of the day. Hey, every morning's different. Sometimes I grab my phone and right away, Facebook drama, let's go. Which cousins are fighting now? Go
Right?
to the comment section, everyone's mad. Um, and then some days it'll be like me at the end of the night, sitting on my couch, doing a little bit of journaling,
Mm,
or, opening up my medicine card book
okay.
and, just taking that moment to decompress and just get back to myself. Because it's just so important. It's just so important. And you're totally right. We live in a society where it's constant validation and our freaking brains are ding, 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 cheap dopamine everywhere. It's like it's free. Just pick up your phone. And like we're constantly stimulated in the mind, right? And so, like it's gonna look different for everyone, but if you find something that works for you, like going for walks, meditating, going to the gym is big for me.
Okay.
I just need that movement.
Uh-huh.
I work with people and I'm connecting with people all the time. And like I said, sometimes everything we feel is not all ours. So
Uh-huh.
we have to move that. We have to move that. How are we moving that? Right? Or sometimes people just need stillness in a very light dimmed room and just with the fan on.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. Yes.
Do what you need to do for yourself.
Yes, for yourself. So I feel like the takeaway is like you first, and then you can heal or pour into the community, right? Because you can't pour in if you're just constantly, you know?
Yeah, like we can create and pour into others if we're coming from a place of like survival, and sometimes that could be reactive and sometimes that could be yeah, like too much, too much. And we always need to take care of ourselves, right? And the philosophy behind ego medicine is, in order to love others, you must love yourself first. In order to take care of others, you must take care of yourself first. You are first and foremost a priority, and that is not selfish and that is not inconsiderate. When you can be 100% comfortable in your body, and to be present, then you can do absolutely anything and everything for your family, for your household, for your community, for the people you serve. Like that saying goes, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? And it's true because what happens in those types of situations is you'll either experience burnout or illness, or sometimes, yeah, like terminal causes. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's never shame ourselves for taking a moment for what we need. I came from a strong lineage of women,
Uh-huh.
and they held down households and communities and raised babies, and they were always go, 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 go.
Mhm.
But we have to keep in mind too that they had community, they had village, they had land.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us indigenous are sometimes in a concrete jungle and we don't have that village, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we got to accommodate. And what way to accommodate is to, well, what do I need right now? What do I need?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's a question that we should always constantly ask ourselves. And it doesn't have to be expensive and it doesn't have to be glamorous.
Yeah.
Yeah, and most importantly, as long as it's not, giving off those cheap dopamine hits like going
Yeah.
shopping and forgetting all the work that we have to do. Because that could get expensive.
Yeah. I'm going to the mall. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm going to the mall. I got a lot going on, shit's falling apart, but that's okay. I'm
Yeah.
just going to dissociate a bit.
Oh my gosh. I think that to do the work is a lot. I was talking with my husband and I was like, to show up healthy and to be a good person, I feel like it is in today's society work because
Mhm.
it's easy to just sit on the couch and watch TV all day, or it's easy just to get on your phone and just like scroll. They call it doom scrolling, right? It's easy to do that, but that doesn't help you spiritually, financially, but that's easy. But to actually like show up for yourself every day, it's work. It's just crack open that journal and start writing. Because sometimes I'm like, what do I even want to talk about, to myself, like, but then you just start with one thought and then it starts flowing, and then you get realizations and stuff. But that's work.
For sure. And someone shared something with me recently that was really good. And it's just like you don't have to completely, yeah, push yourself to heal every day. Like you can still live your life. You
Uh-huh.
can you can take a break from sitting with all that heavy stuff. Um, it's always about trying to find the balance, and we're not going to achieve that every single day. But what someone told me before too is like as long as you find that balance at the end of the week, Robyn, you did a good job. And I
Oh.
was just like, thank you, because then that gives me the privilege to be graceful with myself,
Mhm.
and I share that with you because yeah, like it is work, and sometimes it's that realization that this work never ends, right? With ourself and our communities and the people that we love, like we all have an inherent responsibility. But that doesn't mean that we have to be completely consumed by it all. We can still live our life and we still can be grateful for how far we've come. It's important to celebrate and reflect and like, this is what I did last year. Wow, I'm on a good path.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll journal later.
I love that. Cause yeah, I don't journal every day, but sometimes I'll go through my photos and be like, oh, that was fun. Or yeah, I forgot I did that. So that's really good.
Aw,
Yeah.
yeah, look at your photos. Look at
Uh-huh.
all the things you did. I
Mhm.
love that. That's really good.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Okay, so as we wind down, what are three things someone can implement to work towards their goals?
Yeah, so if you have a goal, um, don't worry about making that goal. Like don't put too much pressure. Write something down that resonates with where you want to be 6 months or a year from now. And just put that intention forward that one way or the other, it's going to happen. Someone shared something, an elder, he said, well, when we have goals, we're living in the future,
Oh.
and we're not enjoying life.
Mhm.
And I was just like, that's good. Yeah, I like that. And it was a gentle correction. And I said, well, how about we work towards something that we can put down, at least on a piece of paper, and we can enjoy life while doing so. And so, yeah, that works. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's the power of manifestation as well. And so if you want to work towards something specifically, this is what I'll share. Write it down, say it in your head as a thought, then say it on your body. Like, I am going to do a marathon in 6 months.
Ooh, yeah.
And then speak it to the universe, speak it to creator or whomever you believe in. I'm going to do a marathon in 6 months. And that's that, right? And then just do what you need to do to move toward that goal. Don't just completely give it to the universe and like, hey, get it done and walk away from it. We still have to take actionable steps forward to those goals, but don't stress about them. Enjoy life.
Mhm.
Life is meant to be lived, not worried about. And you will see that those goals will eventually happen and come to fruition. I'll share something very quickly. 7 years ago, when I was finishing up my second diploma in college, and I was doing night classes with my newborn son, and he was crying, and I was breastfeeding, and it was crazy. And after I shut my laptop, I just cried. I was like, how am I going to get through this semester? This is absolutely nuts. Why would I sign up for a course with a 3-month-old?
Oh,
And so I grabbed my journal and I wrote down 4 things. But after I'm done school, this is what I'm going to do. And one of them was start a business, create programs, and get booked and paid for public speaking. And the fourth one still hasn't come to life. So I'm not going to even say it yet.
uh-huh,
And so I think it was a year and a half ago, I opened up that old journal. I don't throw out any of my journals.
uh-huh.
I keep them around, right? And so I opened up that journal and I was like, oh, 2022. Okay. And I looked and three of those things was what I was living in. And I was just like, wow, I didn't stress about it. I put it on paper and I just did what I needed to do. And I got it done. And so, that is the power of pen to paper. So don't ever underestimate what you can create when you believe.
I love that. That's so powerful. I believe that. Yes. Look at you
Yeah,
go. Thank you for that. That is such
for sure.
great information. Yes. Okay. So is there anything you want to promote?
To promote. Yeah, so if you want to learn more about me, and Eagle Medicine Coaching Consulting, I have social medias, so Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it's all under Eagle Medicine Coaching. I have LinkedIn under my GST name, Robyn Soulier-Ritchot. I have a website, eaglemedicine.ca. If you ever wanted to chat, if you ever wanted to learn more about my offerings, whether that's coaching, public speaking, or the programs I've created for women like you, yeah, chat with me. I am so open to always holding space for a conversation. And I'm so grateful, Tiffany, that we crossed paths and you reached out to me, because, like I said, you are a vibe and I absolutely love what you're doing. And I hope you all the success along your journey.
Oh, I
You're going to do
appreciate
great.
that. Thank you. Yes, I
Yes.
saw your stuff and I was like, yes, she's the one right here. I was like, I hope she responds. Oh, but
Awesome.
yeah, so good. Thank you for your kind words. I like to finish out with three rapid fire questions. Okay,
Yes, of course.
so what do you prefer, a real book or an audiobook?
Well, audiobook is because I really sometimes have no time to read. But I love sitting down when I do have time for a book. So it's kind of like, you know, um, a book, you're so invested, you're in it, you can just imagine everything that's going on. An audiobook is like someone just, whoop, good information, right?
Yeah.
So it depends. But
Okay,
either or, they're
we're
good.
good. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So, what is one book that changed your life?
Oh, Mastery of Love by Miguel Ruiz.
Ooh, okay. He's the one that did the four agreements.
Yes, The Four
Yes.
Agreements is another good book,
Okay.
but Mastery of Love changed my life.
Ooh, okay, okay. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay. What is the one word feeling you want businesses to wait, hold on.
Yeah.
You want business to leave behind? What is the one word feeling you want your business to leave behind for this next seven generations?
Oh,
I know.
oh my God. Why are you
Mm.
doing this to me? Empowerment.
Oh, yes.
Empowerment. I hope that this young Indigenous girl or even young Indigenous boy sees what I'm doing in my work and they're like, I can do that. I want to do that and I'm going to do that. And they feel so empowered that
Mhm.
they can just pursue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Applause, applause. The whole room, we're all applauding. I love that. Well,
Oh,
Robyn, it has been a pleasure. I have just had so much fun chatting with you. So thank you for being on Warm Embers.
yes, it was an absolute honor. And thank you so much. And I hope you continue this good work. Thank you so much, Tiffany.